There you go, right?
Yeah, from Germany. And then we have Dubai
And then we have Magello. We have
And
some
we
Magello demo, yes.
we start with Germany here right now. This is the Nürburgring.
Nürburgring in the GTR race car. And so again, this is one of the over 700 cars we have in the game.
700.
700 cars, that is a lot of cars.
How many cars was there in sixth?
Oh gosh, now you're going to do numbers. I think we had like 450, I believe.
So the jump is like pretty
it's
high.
quite a bit. And what we wanted to do specifically for the cars here is really reimagine the racing experience. And so this car is a race car, and you can see like the exposed wiring and the hose, it's shaking and rattling around. You can see the windshield wipers are rattling. We really want to give that intense feel of what does it feel like when a car is driving at peak.
The thing I want to know is, are any self-driving cars? Any cars where it's just like you just hop in?
Man, you know what? That might be the wave of the future. I might be out of a job in a few years when self-driving cars come along.
The self-driving race car game, where everybody just hops in the car and the cars just go. You're like, all right.
It's a good game.
Well, it's kind of funny when you asked that, because we spoke about what is the difficulty of the game, right?
Yes.
And you explained to me that you want to have children playing the game, but also like super realistic, high level gameplay.
So we have
as well.
a really deep simulation, right? So if you turn off all the assists, it's exactly what you would expect the car to feel like in the real world. But it's intimidating for new players. They really love cars. They want to get into it. So we put layers of assists on it. Things like, the driving line that you see there. We've got a braking assist that'll brake for you, or a steering assist that keeps you on the track. We've got a new one for Forza 7 where we have a surface type override that if you happen to go off track, it's not going to be as slippery. It'll help you keep you on track a lot longer.
Okay. So no license needed to play Forza Motorsport.
No license needed, which is great. Exactly.
It's absolutely amazing.
And you can drive, $1 million cars. So yeah.
Very true.
All the better.
Well, you were speaking about the graphical aspect of the game, right? And we see a huge upgrade when it comes to weather effects.
Yes. So dynamic weather is something we're bringing to Forza Motorsport 7. And it's a good example here.
Wow.
It's awesome. You're just driving along. You see the skies darken as it starts to rain. You'll hear thunder and then the crash of lightning. And with dynamic weather, then puddles will grow and expand from lap to lap. And it's not just weather. Driving at dusk and it transitions into night, or even just simple shadows of clouds. It's a competition racing game. It's about consistency, hitting your line over and over and over. And when the shadows roll through, it changes the color and the light, and so these brake markers that you had in your head are off a little bit because of the dynamic skies.
And do you find that to be sort of the thing that you guys focus on, is more of the outside aesthetic rather than the driving? Because I feel like Forza is a game that's had the driving, the cars, they've always looked beautiful for the last few
it'it's always
generations
been known for
of the
its driving experience, yeah.
But it's something that it's the not in the car experience that you guys improve upon each year, that just like, oh yeah, I wouldn't have thought that a track that I've seen before in a previous Forza game that I know so well, but you add dusk, or you add certain sunlight and sun flare.
It makes it feel so different. And that was important for us too, is to make sure that every time you come to a track, it's different. And we obviously spent years mastering the engine and making sure that the physics feel authentic. And we're real science nerds, and so when we started the dynamic weather, we're learning about Virga and weather patterns and how do they work. I could go on and on. But it's important because it gives that sense of, gosh, this is something that would happen in the real world, and what would that be like to experience?
Well, it was absolutely stunning.
Yes, thank you.
The drops of the
raindrops. We got 3D puddles that you can actually hydroplane through, and again, those grow and they'll grow and shrink based on the rain intensity that goes from lap to lap to lap.
Let's talk about game modes, right? Yes. We have different types of game modes.
Yes. So we've got a huge chunk of our players are campaign players, and so we've got this brand new campaign called the Forza Drivers Cup. And we've got 6 major championships that players can go through. And what's great is, again, we've got over 700 cars. And so we can, use just diverse car divisions that you can go into. So in one championship, you might be in a race truck, and then, like the race series cars, a Polaris RZR, a rally car. And so it's awesome to give players, that variety, and they can craft and kind of create the series as they want. We've also got, multiplayer is obviously incredibly important. Multiplayer modes, and then we have what's called leagues. Leagues are our stepping stone into our esport, which is a Forza Racing Championship.
My next question.
I lead you to it. But yeah, so with leagues and the Forza Racing Championship, after we shipped 6, we did a ton of updates to the game, to make it, again, ready for the Forza Racing Championship, seeding the grid, better spectating tools. And again, as we're going to kick off, in the coming months, kicking off our next season, we're going to continue to update the game. and including things like 4K mixer integration to be able to broadcast in 4K. But we pulled the driver out for the first time, and being able to see players can customize their driver with over 300 driver suits. Nice. They span like race history and pop culture, so you can dress up like a fireman. And we got some really cool surprises for players. But when you're spectating, it turns, it's not only great competitive esport, it's awesome spectator sport.
Now, one of the things that I've always loved about Forza is the level of customization that everyone else does. Like, not me per se, like I too like to customize my things.
Yeah.
But the community customization
awesome.
Skills are like on par with like game designers. I feel like these guys, some of the effort they put into like skins for vehicles, I'm like, how in the hell?
It's unfounded.
Did you find the time to do that?
No, it's crazy. I mean, I've been on the franchise since the beginning, and I was the original designer and the livery editor. And I was really proud of my basic primitive shapes. But you put it in the hands of the community, and they make incredible pieces of art. And then, we've got guys, tuners too, that create, they can fine tune these cars for specific tracks and specific conditions. And what's great about Forza 7 too is all those guys, whether it's on Forza Horizon 3, Forza 6, they can import all their designs, all the stuff that they've done in the past games into Forza 7.
Nice. Now we can see Dubai track, right?
Yeah, so this is our brand new track set in Dubai. We did a ton of techniques for this to build this track. We adopted a process called photogrammetry. It's in a lot of AAA games now, but it basically uses photo reference to actually build out the meshes and the textures that you see here. And what's great about that is this is the Hafid Pass. It's an actual pass in the United Emirates, and it gives you that imperfection that you get from Mother Nature that you can't normally get.
It's like random.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Sense,
like
right?
It's so hard. Like random is one of the hardest things to do, especially when it comes to visual, because then you get uncanny valley. But yeah, no, being able to go to Dubai, we sent a team out there, over a year ago, and they actually. It was so hot there. I think it was 120 some odd degrees. They actually melted two $2,500 DSLR cameras because it was so hot. I know, I feel so bad for those guys. We sent them to like these bleak places, but again, you can see the work they came home with. When they came home with the pictures of the desert, of the skyline, the Hafid Pass.
The ones that survived.
Like once they survived, yeah, and they were hydrated. Once they were plenty hydrated.
Memory card.
Exactly, yeah. We got to throw that one out. But so I mean, you can obviously see the hard work came to be. It was just gorgeous. Like you would never think, the desert would be so pretty, but when you see it again in 4K at a rock solid 60 frames per second in HDR, it just looks awesome.
Do we have sandstorms?
What's that?
Sandstorms.
Oh yeah, if you watch, we're coming up to a turn right here. You can see sand blowing across the track, which is awesome. And that was, one of the things they learned coming back was major highways would have sand that would just come, and drivers just drive around it. It just became, essentially, their puddles happen to be sand puddles.
Well, that looks absolutely amazing.
How do you guys, figure out what new tracks you want to put into the game? There are tons of places to race in the world.
There's tons of places to race in the world. So we do a bunch of things. We obviously, want to look at race series and where races are done, but a lot of it comes from our community and the tracks that they want to see. So, Dubai Crown Jewel track is one that we like, hey, this is an area that we want to, we've never built a desert track. What would that look like? But we're bringing back Maple Valley, which is a track that we built in Forza 1. And it's awesome to have the fans ask for that back. Mugello is another new track that we're bringing that hasn't been in here since Forza 4, as well as Suzuka. So it really comes down to the fans and what they're passionate about.
And now we can see also trucks.
Race trucks. Yeah. So this is a really good example when I talk about us reimagining that racing experience. You got the netting flapping in the side. You got hoses. And again, you're driving this massive truck, right? And so the weight for that is, again, it's very different than, driving in the race car or even the GT2 RS.
Yeah.
I want to pick up driving trucks.
I wanted to ask about the esports side,
yes,
right? Because it is planned for more Forza Motorsport 7.
Absolutely, yeah. So again, we just wrapped up season 3 in June, and it was awesome. We earlier this year we announced an exclusive 6-year partnership with Porsche. We got to announce the car, the GT2 RS to the world, but also with their partnership, we were able to actually hold that season 3 finale at Le Mans, at the 85th anniversary of Le Mans, on the podium with the winners, which is awesome, right? Wow. And so we're going to be kicking off the next season. We're not announcing just yet, but again, we've got with dynamic weather, we're doing a whole new car classification system called where we homologate, which is a very technical race term, to all the cars to make sure the competitive car divisions are all set so that it's all about the racers. It's not about the tuners yet.
Right.
But if guys are in multiplayer free play, they can unhomologate their cars, tune it, do whatever they want with it.
That's amazing. And one question when it comes to the technical stuff, because you mentioned before we went here that there's a split screen option, right?
The which one?
Split screen option.
Yes.
But
so, yeah.
with this like advanced graphics,
yeah.
Is it like putting a strain on the machine?
Not really, right? You know, again, over the last few years, after we shipped 6, we took this engine and we released Forza 6 Apex on PC, and then Forza Horizon 3 was a PC title. So we've had a lot of time building scale with our engine. Forza 7, for example, is going to run on an i5 750, and I played at the office on my Surface Pro 4. And so being able to scale it down for something like split screen, the engine definitely handles it.
That's awesome to hear, because for me, split screening at home is the most, fantastic experience
like
with family.
the most personal, perfect, competitive way to play with someone right there on the couch next to you. And we know a lot about our players. We've got about, I think it's like 8 or 9% of our players actually play split screen. And so it's important for us that they have that experience. And again, they're able to experience all 700 cars, all 32 environments, in really fun ways.
All right. Well, it will be on Xbox and PC.
Correct. So we release on October 3rd on Xbox One and PC. Ultimate Edition players will actually get to play it earlier on September 29th, and then will obviously be available on November 7th for the Xbox One X.
All right. Awesome.
Launch day racing.
Launch day racing.
Start your 4K 60 FPS racing
I know.
engines.
Get those TVs ready. And the